Hello, welcome back to the ex-sabbatical podcast. I don't know, we haven't really got a title for them. I'm the current president, Harry, and I'm joined by Tony, who was the 2013-14 Student Activities VP, and also the 15-16 Student Activities VP. Took a cheeky sabbatical in between. And also Rasheen, who is the 15-16 VP Education.
What's up?
Yeah.
Hi.
So we're here today to talk about question times, and knowing these podcasts, they'll probably come up with a better title. However, we're just going to chat some stuff, as we've done a fair few of them between us, and probably have some funny anecdotes, hopefully. So the first question we've got is, how did you prepare? What were your expectations? Maybe the slip of the tongue to prayer there was the appropriate word.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we all three of us had the opportunity to run with somebody, an old officer, Kyle, who was gifted. He was a talent when it came to these. So whether we were running with him or against him, it was a matter of, what's Kyle going to do?
That first bus analogy was one of the most fantastic speeches I think I've ever had the pleasure of listening to. Where he was, what did he make himself the driver, wasn't it, of this bus, and that the university was the bus, and students are the wheels, and oh god, real talent.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there was kind of no other way to follow that really. I don't think anyone's ever produced anything like that. So
One of a kind, that boy.
be
One
like
of a kind.
Kyle.
Yeah.
There's your first tip.
Yeah.
And for those
Come up
who
with
don't know who he is, just YouTube his name and you can listen to his graduation speeches because they are
Similar.
the bomb.
Kyle Marshleck, the one and only. Hopefully he'll hear this, and the least we'll get is a cheeky beer out of it on the side.
Hi Kyle!
Hey.
So yeah, I mean, how did we prepare? I remember the first time round, really like hyped up, but worried, and then you're really concerned about it, but realistically, wow, it's an opportunity to show your personality a bit, isn't it?
Well, I think, first time round, I think it was very, I don't think a lot of us knew what we were getting into, so it was kind of like speeches, everyone's writing the speeches, going through speeches, like with your friends, making sure they're okay, but I mean, by the end of it, I think I just went in with some bullet points, but I struggle with reading anyway, like out loud, under that sort of pressure, so it was easier for me to come up with bullet points, but no, yeah, just making sure that you've got your speech ready, and you can kind of predict what kind of questions are going to come up for the different roles, so trying to just make sure that you've got most of those covered, I suppose, that, the questions that might come up.
Yeah, I definitely did my research about things that I could be asked. I think Googling other candidates from other unions helped to kind of give me a bit of context, and kind of seeing other videos of what people have said and done, and advice videos helped me quite a lot. But I was in Legcast during my first round of question times, so I was kind of in hospital quite a lot, so I probably didn't get to prep as much as I probably wanted to the first time round, but I was quite fortunate the second time round that I didn't have to worry about that, so I could do a lot more research.
I guess that point about, or from my perspective, that point about bullet points is a really good one. So you can go up there with an entire written speech, and no matter how well you know it, you'll end up hiding behind it to a certain extent. Like the best thing to do, and the hardest thing to do as well, it's the same tip for public speaking, is to just really put yourself out there. I mean, the tip that the tip that I give to everyone, and I don't know if anyone actually ever listens to me, is when you're doing that kind of thing and when you're talking to potential voters, you're not being yourself. Like you're being this person who you want them to vote for. Like you're putting on this persona. And that's how I always look at it, and that's how I always go out, super confident, super outgoing, all that sort of stuff. But having bullet points you can just refer back to. I guess that point about the speeches and the fact that we have Ed's Ed's poster right behind the camera. Perfect opportunity to maybe highlight what not to do.
Yeah. Do not rip up your speech as soon as you stand up and try and remember it.
I did not feel represent Ed at that point in time. Yeah, that was a gem of a moment. I guess it answers what was the funniest thing that ever happened. To have the rest of us at the back of the room just mouthing butts at him and lighting and security. Not that we're giving you manifesto ideas or anything like that.
No.
So, yeah, did you get a sense that's an interesting question we've got. Did you get a sense that you'd won a round or anything like that? For you guys, did you ever feel that way particularly coming out of it?
I think so. First time round, definitely. But I mean, I think running against someone that didn't really know the role particularly, and because I'd been around sort of the sports teams and societies for a while, I had a fair base of knowledge. So that was quite good. But I mean, as we've gone on and it's been more sort of contended, I don't think you do win rounds. You can sit there and think your answer, you've given a good answer and stuff like that, but you can never tell, really. Like reading the crowd don't do that, because it can be really nerve-wracking if no one reacts to what you're saying. Sit there and be like, oh, maybe that wasn't great.
Yeah, I have to say, in both rounds of question times I've done for both elections, especially the first one because I was against the current VP, I think we could both probably say we won in different ways. So it was where he was very intelligent and knew how to answer some of the more complex questions that I didn't, but I was kind of able to wing some of it, and then afterwards I was able to do the research about it. But this round of question times, I went to all three, and for two of them, none of the other candidates showed up. So, and I didn't actually get that many questions. So it was a bit of a false win there. I kind of felt like if I had the other candidate there, I could really kind of get into it a bit more. But it's a bit hard when you don't have the other candidates showing up.
Not that we'd suggest that that's likely to happen this year, obviously.
What's for your benefit? I think if you really want to be able to prove your passion, the best time to do it is during question time. Like even if you did pull an Ed and rip up your speech, but then you won it and you ended up feeling like, okay, well, of all things, at least I showed my passion. I think that's enough of a win for anyone.
I think you're just what you highlighted just now about when not last year, the year before. That was a really good example. I think you gave one of the bravest answers I've ever heard. When there was a really tough, intricate question about something very contemporary, which nobody really knew that much about, but a lot of people have been spouting their mouths off in student council, and you just quite honestly said, I don't know, but I'm going to go away and research it, and if you can give me your contact details, I will get back to you with my opinion on it.
I think if you don't do something like that, you run the risk of answering the question completely wrong and making yourself look worse than if you're just honest. Like, I've never wanted to be false during campaigning because it soon comes out. So you're best off just being honest about these things, and it also proves you're a bit human. I think sometimes when you're running an election, it's quite possible for people to think that you're indestructible and that you're all-knowing, and actually you're really not. Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably a pretty good point to end on it, really. Yeah. Be human. Honest. Yeah, be human, be honest. Be yourself.
Or be Carl Marshall.
Or be Carl Marshall.
But from Tony, from Rasheen and myself, thanks for listening.